Hello everyone, my name is Mayra. I am a graduating student in psychology in the Federal University of Alagoas. And this is my first presentation in English and my first international conference. Anyway, thank you for being here. I am very, very happy to be here. So let's go. Today I will present a study about school robotics in Brazil. The title is Protective Factors are for School Trajectories, Socioeconomic and Racial Disparities. I will use simple language because the topic is complex, but the central idea is clear. Many students do not leave school suddenly. First, they lost support, they lose connection, and they may stop feeling that school is a place for them. In this presentation, I will explain the problem, the objective, the method, the main results, and what these results mean for students. First, I want to explain why this topic is important. School dropout means that the student leaves school before finish basic education. This is not only a personal problem, it's a social problem too, with high social and economic costs. And dropout does not affect our students in the same way. In Brazil, Black and brown students are the majority of the students who do not finish school. So to understand dropout, you need to look not only at grades, but also at other parts of students' life, including family, school, and community. Now, I will explain the idea of protective factors. A protective factor is something that helps the student continue studying, even when life is difficult. For example, for family support, a teacher who believes in the student or a safe school can be a protective factor. So, but race and socioeconomic level can change who has access to these factors. So the objective of this study was clear. Our main question was, how do race and socioeconomic level, called INSE, influence the relational protective factors in trajectories of Brazilian students? Before the results, I need to explain how race works in Brazil. The person says their own color or race. We call this self-declaration, how the person sees themselves. It's a social category built by society and adopted by our national institute, the IBGE, Brazilian Institute of Geography and Statistics. Brown race or mixed race in Brazil is pardo. Pardo in Brazil is the category that designates people of mixed ancestry, the result of the mixture between white, black, and indigenous people who self-identify as such. About the socioeconomic level, it's called INSE. It looks at the student and the family together. It looks at things in the house, like woods and digital services. It looks at the space and the infrastructure at home. It also looks at the modest education, the fathers education, and neighborhood. All of these things together show the social conditions of students. The INSE is calculated in 4 steps. The first step is data collection. In this step, people answer a questionnaire with 22 questions about their life context. The second step is the evaluation of responses variance. Here you at the answers, but also at how important and how difficult each question is. The third step is of the scores. Finally, the INSE puts people into 8 groups. The groups from level 1, very low, to level 8, very high. Why do you use the INSE? For 3 reasons. First, for diagnosis, because it helps understand school results together with the student's social context. Second, for equity, INSE helps us see social inequalities in education and guide investments. And finally, for policy, because it gives information to help public education decisions. About the method, let's go at the participants. The study used 10,000 synthetic answers, created from 3,678 real valid answers. About half of the students were female. Most students were brown or mixed race or pardo in Brazil. Men were in INSE Group 5, and there was a strong presence of students from the Midwest region of Brazil. This assortment is important because they students wanted to compare social groups. Okay, the instrument used in the study was the IA3A, Relational Factors for the Risk of School Dropout Scale, alternative version. This is a scale about relational factors for the risk of school dropout. The students answered 46 items, organized into 5 relational dimensions and 40 attention factors. These 5 dimensions is student school professionals, student family, student community, student. The answers go from to 4. For example, never, sometimes, frequently, and always. Strong disagree, agree, and strong disagree. So, strong agree. The important point is that this instrument does not look only at grades. It looks at 5 relationships, 5 dimensions. Now the procedures. You collect the data in person using Chromebooks by a digital platform. This platform was built especially for our scale. You worked with 4 state school systems in Brazil in different regions, Midwest, Northwest, North, and Southwest. And we always ask for permission. The parents gave informed consent, and students gave their assent too. In the data analysis, the synthetic data was generated with the Gaussian couplet technique in the program or this technical generation, synthetic data from the real data in the preserves the structure of 3 variables, as my colleague Julio explained before. This image shows 3 steps. First, we need the data collection. From the base, we generate the synthetic data. After that, we measure the quality of the generation with the hailing distance. Finally, we have the decision on data set. After organizing the data, we use the statistical test to compare the groups in a problem called JASP. First, we checked in the data followed a normal distribution. It didn't. Because of this, we used the non-parametric tests. The main test was the Cruz-Kawallis test, which compares 3 or more groups. In simple words, this analysis helped us answer one question. Are the differences between groups just random, or are they really important? Now the results. This first table shows the Hellenic distance. The Hellenic distance is a number that tells us if our synthetic data is good and close to the real data. All the values stayed below the limit, which is 0.25. So you can trust our data. The first important result is about race and color. The study found significant difference in three factors. First, brown students reported more vulnerability in family support. They received less support at home for their school journey. Second, brown students reported lower expectations about education. Third, but Black and brown students reported a weaker sense of belonging. That is, they felt less connected to the school when compared to white students. Second result is about the socioeconomic level. Students with a lower socioeconomic level reported more problems related to parent and family support. And there was a clear pattern. The scores went down progressively from group 1 to group 8. This means that students with less money received a great lack of family resources and support. Low income students received a greater distance between the school and the community. They also reported more conflict in relationships, less empathy, and more difficulty in communication. And again, lower income groups showed a weaker sense of belonging at school. So here is the main message of this part. The lower the students' socioeconomic level, the greater their relational vulnerability. In simple words, students with less money often have weaker support in their relationships at school. What do these results mean? They show that inequality often appears in daily school experiences, not only visible things like infrastructure. Many families live historic exclusion, so children have failed educated role models at home. It's not lack of love. Many families value education, but poverty can limit what they can do. Also, low expectations are connected to a weak sense of belonging, and this affects motivation and attendance. One important point, these race effects are often invisible in traditional numbers because they are about feelings and relationships. Dropout almost never happens suddenly. It comes from material, relational, and emotional factors altogether. Race and socioeconomic inequalities also work together. We call these intersectional. Because of this, protecting school trajectories means understanding that school reputation is, above all, a relational issue. For the future, longitudinal studies can help us understand these inequalities better and guide more equitable policies. All in all, school retention is a relational issue. If we found important difference by race and by socioeconomic level. These inequalities appear in subjective and affective dimensions, in feelings, expectations, and belonging. So schools must be safe and inclusive places. Teachers can show high expectations for our students. And you need intersectional policies to create welcoming schools where every student feels supported, respected, and included. That's it, my references, and that's in my contact. Thank you so much.